Hey there folks, it's Brian with Foxfire Armory again, and before we get into today's content, if you could please smash that like button, share this out to your friends, and drop a comment, because it looks like right now on YouTube, a lot of the prepper channels and a lot of the prepping related channels are just being deranked and the content is not being shared out as much by the YouTube algorithm. So by smashing that like button and making sure that you share it out and drop a comment, that's the best thing that you can do to help not only my channel, but all the other channels keep beating the algorithm. So without further ado, let's get into today's content. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is something that I feel like is not really talked about in the prepper community a lot. And it's something that a lot of other people use and a lot of other industries use, and it's SMART goals. And if you've never heard of the term, basically SMART is an acronym. And that's what we're going to be going over today, specifically as it relates to prepping and preparedness. So without further ado, let's get into the first one, and that is S. And S stands for specific, okay? So when you're making a goal, we're going to use prepping here because that's what we're talking about. Make the goal as specific as possible. Now, you don't want to get so granular as it is something like buy 1 can of, I don't know, chili, right? Just that. Buy 1 can of chili. That's maybe a little bit too specific for what we're talking about. But make the goal specific enough that you can say, hey, I'm going to buy an extra 10 canned goods every time I go to the grocery store, right? Those can be whatever you decide that they are on those particular days. Maybe you come up with another goal that tells you specifically, okay, I'm going to buy on this week, I'm going to buy these, and this week I'm going to buy these. But the initial main goal is buy an extra set, 10 extra canned goods a week, or however, whenever you go to the grocery store. So that's going to be the first one. So make sure that your goal is specific, but it shouldn't be too specific. And when we're talking specific, you want to make sure that you're focusing on one aspect at a time, and that's going to be on a per goal basis, right? So one goal, you will go through this entire process, and that is going to be your one goal, right? So very specific, and you're focusing on one aspect for that particular goal. Second is going to be the M, and that is measurable, right? So what is measurable? Well, it's basically making sure that there is some sort of metric you can use in the instance of this goal that we're talking about being 10, right? 10 cans. So if you leave the grocery store and you don't have an extra 10 cans of whatever it is that you're purchasing that week, then you didn't hit your goal, right? You were able to measure it. You say 10 cans, and you didn't come out with 10 cans, then obviously you've already failed your goal, okay? So in this instance, 10 is the measurable aspect. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to use a number to measure your thing. You could use other metrics, like, for example, me personally, I want to purchase some land, right? And I have a very specific set of requirements for purchasing the land. So for me, my measurable for my land purchasing is my time frame, and basically making sure that I'm getting the aspects with that land that I'm looking for. That's acreage and the type of parcel I'm looking for, whether it's wooded, creeks running through it, that kind of stuff, right? So those are going to be the metrics that I'm going to use to measure for the land purchase. And like I said before, in this example, the 10 cans is going to be what we're going to be using for our metric for measurable, okay? So number 2 in SMART, the M, measurable. So the next one in SMART is the A, and that is achievable, okay? So prime example of this is making sure that the goal is something that you actually can do, whether it's making sure monetarily you have the money to be able to accomplish that goal. You're not setting a goal for yourself, something like, I want to be stocked up for 3 months, and your goal is just not achievable, because to be able to do that, you're going to have to spend somewhere in the $2,000 to $5,000 range to get the necessary goods that you're looking for, right? So making sure that your goal is actually achievable for you is going to be key. It's going to be very, very, very important to make sure that you actually can achieve the goal, because there's no point in making these goals if you can't achieve them. Now, for one person, being able to achieve a bigger, lofty goal might be doable, right? People use it for, can I purchase a new car or buy a home? You know, you can really use these goals for anything, but for prepping, we're going to kind of focus on that, because I feel like a lot of people, especially new preppers, they don't know where to start. They think, oh, I got to buy, 90 days to like a year's worth of food supply in one fell swoop, one shebang, and be done with it, right? But really, that's not realistic, and that's not prepping at that point, right? That's stockpiling and hoarding, right? Really, prepping is making sure that you are getting a little bit here, a little bit there, and making sure that you have what you need, and stockpiling slowly instead of just one big shebang. Now, if you can do that, that's great. Myself, and probably many of you out there, it's just not realistic for us to do. So make sure that your goals are achievable for you, and the point of this is to actually be able to achieve the goal, right? So very important. Now, the next part of this is the R, okay? And that is going to be relevant, making sure that the goal is relevant to what you're trying to accomplish. So in this aspect, right, if our goal is prepping related, and for whatever reason we put in, I want to buy a new car. Well, does that actually have to play with prepping, right? Do you actually need that new car? What is that new car going to be used for? Is it a bug out car? Is that actually necessary, right? So making sure that the specific part of the goal and the relevant part of the goal kind of match up, okay? That's going to be a very, very key part of this. So make sure that the goal is relevant. Make sure that it makes sense for whatever it is, the end goal that you're trying to achieve through your SMART goals, right? Because there's probably going to be some sort of umbrella, overall encompassing idea, in this case prepping, that you're going to be looking at, right? So make sure that you have a relevant goal to the other things that we have previously discussed. Now, the last one, the T, this is time-based, okay? Now, this doesn't have to be a short time frame. It could be, right? If you're saying every week, there you go. There's your time frame, your 10, that's your specific, that's your measurable. And it really could be that easy, right? Saying I'm going to buy 10 cans a week. Or, like in my case, purchasing land, I have a time frame that I would like to do that in. And that is basically sometime in the year 2023, right? So after this year is up, we're going to actively, well, probably at the end of this year, we'll actually start actively looking. But I've been doing my homework and doing my research, and I'm setting a goal for myself to, by the end of 2023, to have found what I've been looking for and have it purchased and ready to go. So that's just a kind of an example for you, right? My time frame is farther spread out. If you have a different goal that can do the shorter time frame, then you do the shorter time frame. So your time frames are going to vary, but you need to make sure that it's time-based, right? Because part of that measurability is giving yourself a restriction, right? Asking yourself, when do I want to have this done by? When do I need to have this done by? And really setting that time aside to make sure that you hit that goal, right? You need to hold yourself accountable, and setting that time means you're going to have to hold yourself accountable. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve your goal, right? And this is just for life in general. Making sure that you have achievable and time-based and setting goals for yourself is just something that you should do to help you move forward and keep moving in life. So really the last thing I have for you guys on this video is making sure with your SMART goals is that you write them down, because whether it's typing or handwriting, you need to write your goals down, because The point of these goals is to go back and look at them often, right? To frequently go back, check your goals, see where you're at, see if you're lining up to actually hit these goals, what goals might not get hit, and really hold yourself accountable to these goals. So as far as new preppers are concerned, this is an easy thing to do, right? If you don't know where to start and you're having trouble on like, what should I buy? What do I need this? Do I need that? Start setting some goals for yourself, right? If there's a new tool or some sort of, prime example, I just bought myself a camp stove. It was one of the goals I had set for this year, because we're going to be doing a lot of camping this year, is making sure that I had a way to easily grab my camp stove and all of my camp cookware in one fell swoop, throw it in the car, and get ready and go. So I bought myself a new camp stove and a way to transport it. I had set that goal up at the end of last year, so December-ish time frame, and my goal was to have it done by June, because that's when we really start camping, going like almost every single weekend. So we are in April now, and I've already hit that goal, right? So it was time-based, it was achievable, it had a very specific purpose to it, and all those things kind of lined up, right? And for me, it was very relevant. It serves multiple purposes. I can go camping with that and use it while I'm camping. It also can be a backup cooking source if I were to have a power outage, or if, obviously, SHTF were to happen, or some sort of black swan event where things just kind of crumbled, right? So that's really all I got for you guys today. And again, if you like the content and you've stayed around this long, please make sure you smash that like button. Until next time, it's Brian with Foxfire Armory.